Here's the little baby hat that I've made in 3 different sizes for the preemie unit of ICE, the NICU unit, I guess you'd call it, at Piedmont Hospital. So, how we're going to start that, I'm going to do the one in the middle size, medium. So I'm going to use the magic loop method. This is the way I do magic loop. I'm not sure how anybody else does it, but this is just how I learned it, so that's how I'm going to demonstrate it. I just put it in there and make one little ring around like that, make a little loop, and do 1 chain. Now I'm going to do 11 double crochets in this circle. If you don't want to use the magic loop, you can do the chain 2 method and make it in the first chain. Make all your stitches in that very first chain. I just do it this way because I can draw it up really, really tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oops, came down 11. Okay, now that I've got that done, and by doing the magic loop method, you can just start pulling it tight like that, closing up the circle, and I'm going to join it in the top, not in this chain that I made, this one little single chain. I'm going to join it in this first double crochet, which is right here, and I'm going to join that with a slip stitch. And I can see I skipped a little thread there. I don't want to do that because these are for preemie babies, so you got to make sure every little thread is caught. You can't have any little threads sticking out that the little fingers and things can get stuck in. Okay, so there's our 11 double crochets. I'm going to chain 2. This doesn't count as anything. It's just to get me started. Now I'm going to do 2 double crochets in every one of the double crochets in the ring. So the first double crochet is going to take place right here in this hole where I did the slip stitch. That's actually the first stitch. So I'm going to 2 double crochet in that hole. Now it's going to look like there are 3 double crochets there because I got that chain 2 to start it. But I just do that because it makes a nice fill in, and when it's joined you don't have any gaps and you don't have any skinny chains. I hate skinny chains and it doesn't match the rest of the stitches. That's just a little bit of an extra stitch, so it'll just be there, but who cares? So we're going to put 2 double crochets in every single one around. So now we've gone all the way around. We have 22 double crochets now, and I'm going to join back into the top of that double crochet that I started with, not the chain, just the double crochet, and do a little slip stitch there. Okay, chain 2. Okay, now what we're going to do is continue on around, and we're going to each row is going to increase by 11. So on this row we're going to 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then 1 double crochet, and then 2. And we're going to continue that way around, and we should end up with then 33 on this row, because each row increases by 11. So just continue on around with 1 double crochet and then 2. So on that row, you're going to end with 2 double crochets in that space. Oops, dropped it. Let's try that again. And once again, we're going to join it to that very first, the top of that very first double crochet through both loops, just as if you were making a regular stitch with a slip stitch. We're going to chain 2, and again we're going to stitch right in that hole where we slip stitched, and we're going, this time we're going to do a single, double crochet, but just a single double crochet, another single double crochet, and then 2 double crochet in that next stitch. So this row is 2 single double crochets and 2 double crochets in the next stitch all the way around. That will give us now 44. Okay? Okay, and if you counted correctly, you should be coming out to 2 double crochet in that last stitch. And we're going to join it to the top, just as if we were making a new stitch with a slip stitch. Now, for the medium-sized preemie, which is about a 3-pound baby, this is the size 11, starting off with 11, and you're going to do 4 increase rows. So you start with 11, 22, 33, 44. So now we're not going to increase anymore. Now, to make the smallest preemie, you're going to do 10 here, and then of course you'd have 10, 20, 30, 40. And then the larger preemie size would be 12, so you'll have 12, 24, 36, 48. And you just don't increase anymore after those rows. The rows just remain the same. So rows 5, for this size, we're going to do 5, 6, 7, and 8 will all just be 44 stitches. If you're going to make the larger one, it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows will be all the same. Even the smallest one that starts with 10, we only do through 8. We don't do through 9. The extra 9 of the 9th row is for the largest of the preemie size. So now we're just going to do our normal chain 2, and of course making our first double crochet in the hole where the slip stitch was made. That way you're not skipping any stitches. And you can just count them all the way around just to make sure that you have the 44 that you're supposed to have for this size, or the 48 or the 40, and just go all the way around. And we're going to do that for 5, 6, 7, and 8 rows, which would be 4 more rows, all the same size. So let's just continue with that. Okay, so this is our 8th row, because I'm making the medium size. So we have 1. This is our last row of double crochet. There's our last one, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top just like we've been doing. Now for this next row, I'm going to chain 2, but instead of double crochets, we're going to do half double crochets all the way around. This is going to make our little fake brim, because we're going to do half double crochets, and then we're going to do a front post half double crochet. So just go all the way around now with 1 half double crochet in every stitch. Okay, somebody in the group just asked, how do we do a half double crochet? Well, if it's something that people don't do a lot of. I use it a lot when making baby items because it just makes the stitch a little bit tighter and a little bit smaller. So you yarn over, just like you were making a double crochet. You insert it into your loops. You yarn over, pull up a loop, and instead of doing 2 and 2, you're going to do 1, yarn over, and pull it through all 3 loops. Just like that. And make sure you're really careful not to pull up any single threads. You know, this is a baby item, so you can't have those little split threads. This particular yarn is very good for not splitting, so you shouldn't have that problem. So it's yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over. Okay, so I had a little bit of a camera issue finishing up that other hat, so I have started another one, but I'm at the same place where we left off. So we're finishing up our 8th row. That's just plain double crochet all the way around for 44 stitches. Okay, so that's the end right there. I'm going to join it back to the first loop just like we've been doing, and slip stitching and chaining 2. Now we're going to do half double crochets all the way around. Once again, we're going into the same place we slip stitched. We're not skipping anything. And we're going to do half double crochets all the way around. And you ask, somebody asked how to do a half double crochet. It's just the same as a double crochet. It's the way you start. Yarn over, put your hook in the stitch, pull up a loop, and instead of going through just 2 loops, you're going to go through all the loops on the hook, like that. Be careful not to snag it and split any stitches, because once again, we don't want any split stitches because we don't want those little strings for these little tiny babies. So we're just going to go all the way around now with half double crochet. So you'll have, for this particular size hat, you're going to have 44 half double crochets. Okay? So we got our last half double crochet right there. And once again, we're going to join at the top with a slip stitch. And we're going to go ahead and do our chain 2. But this time, which is different than before, we're actually going to turn the work. And the reason we're doing that is because I want to do around the post. Okay, now we're finishing up our half double crochets. And we're going to slip stitch as usual in the top of the previous row. And now we're going to do something we haven't done before. We're going to chain 2 and turn. And the reason we're turning is so that we can do a back post half double crochet in that half double crochet row. And it's easier just to do it from the front, so I'm just going to turn the work, which will make it be on the back, because this is our right side that we've been working on. Now we're going to go and work on the wrong side. So we've chained 2 and we've turned. We're going to do a half double crochet around the post of that previous row. And how you do around the post is, you see that half double crochet right there? We're going to stick our needle into the left, to the right of it, and come in to the left of it. So there's that stitch, that half double crochet stitch from the previous row, and now it is kind of on our needle like a loop. So we yarned over, we scooped up that stitch, we're going to yarn over again. Wait, I don't want to split my thread. Yarn over and pull that up, and then through all loops. So that's a half double crochet around the post of the previous row. So we're going to do that again. Yarn over, go in the front, through the back, come back out the front, yarn over, and pull through all 3 rows. Yarn over, pull up that stitch. You can get it really, really close so you can see. There's the stitch right there. So we're just going to go in front of the back of the work, out to the front, back up through the back. That stitch is now on our hook, like as if it were a yarn over, and we're just going to pull it up through all stitches. Now that is a front post half double crochet, and we're going to do that all the way around till we get back to where we started, and I'll show you how to join that back up. Okay, so now we're coming around to the end of our front post, or our around the post double crochet, half double crochets. So I'm just about back here to the beginning. Just have a couple more to do. Show you how to join it once you're finished. Okay, so this one right here, this next one coming up, oh, I got a little loose thread there and I can't have that, so let me just make that stitch over. Okay, so this is the first one we did. We went around that one, and now there's still one left right here. So we've got, this is our last one that we just did. This is the first one we did, and there's still one there in between. So we got to go around that one, which is actually the one that the chain was coming out of. Now, we want to join this, but we want to make sure we join it to the front post row, not the back row, which is what we did our half double crochet row first to do our post onto. So we want to make sure we join it to the row that is the post. And this is the first post around the post stitch, so that's where I want to join it, right there. And that's not the chain, that's actually the top of that half double crochet that run around the post. So that's the one I want to join to. And because they kind of twist when they're around the post, it may be a little difficult to make sure you get it through those loops. I'm using that little hooky part to try to get them up. So there's my two, top of my stitch, and that's what I'm going to slip stitch into. And once again, we're going to chain 2, but now we're going to turn back around so that we're working on the right side again. And now we're going to work another row of just plain half double crochet into the top of what was our post around the post row, just like normal. And again, we're going to go into this first stitch. We're not skipping anything. We're going to go into the stitch that we slip stitched into. Now these are going to be half double crochets again, all the way around, and then join back to itself, just like we did 2 rows previous. Okay, so go all the way around with half double crochet. Okay, I've gone all the way around again with my 44 half double crochets, and I'm going to join it back to that very first one through the top, slip stitch, chain 2, and turn. Now we're going to do just like we did before. We're going to do a round the post or front post half double crochet around every half double crochet from the previous row. So not starting with the one that we're coming out of, because we saved that to the end since we had to make a turn. So you're going to go in and then behind and back out, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go in, come from behind, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go in, come from behind, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. And you're going to once again do that all the way around to the end, and I'll show you how we're going to join and we're going to end our work. Okay, we're up to our last around the post half double crochet. And there is our last one right there. This is our chain. I'm not going to go around it. And again, in, around the back, out the front. And now I'm going to join it right here, just like we've been joining. I'm going to pull it up. And that is actually the finished rounds. Now I'm going to show you how I finish it off and tuck in my ends. A lot of people don't even understand exactly what that means. So let me show you how to do it on something that's going to be on a little baby. What we have is we have a darning needle. I like to use the metal kind because the plastic ones have a giant eye in them that I can't stand. And we're just going to cut our thread off and just pull that stitch all the way through and load up our needle. How you load a darning needle, in case if you're a beginning crocheter and you don't know how to get the thread in the needle, you wrap it over your needle, pull it tight, pinch it between your fingers, put the needle there, and push the thread through, just like that. Okay, you might want to practice that. Okay, you can see here how our thread is coming out of this stitch. This was what we slip stitched into, this last one right here. I'm going to go back through the stitch from whence it came so that I can pull that tightly so that it makes a nice smooth join. Now I'm going to go down to the next row through the top of both stitches, and then just take my needle to the back through through some holes, turn it inside out. This is the back of our work. Okay, now I'm just going to wrap it around. This would be like the previous row where you went in to make a stitch. Just wrap it around there and go through your, make like a slip stitch or slip knot and pull that snug, not real tight. Go through the base of like where the stitch when you're crocheting and you go in and around, and this makes it wrap around the previous row. Go in a few of those across, not pulling real tight because you don't want to take away your stretchiness. Just go in and out a few of these stitches at the bases. And then you might want to go in and around and go down to another row and do the same thing again. Just go through a few of the stitches. And when you've gone through enough to use up about, oh, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches of your yarn, then I want you to do another slip stitch, or slip knot really is what you're doing, and do that twice. Go through a few stitches, make one more slip knot, and that should be good enough. It's not like this is something that's got to last a lifetime. Kids outgrow stuff. So, alright, so that's the thread where we ended our crocheting. I'm going to trim, make sure there's no little fuzzies. Now we want to thread our needle back to where we started our crochet with our magic ring, or Susan's ring, whatever you want to call it, because I'm not sure it's exactly like the way some people do the magic ring. It's just my technique. Okay, I'm going to take the needle and put it through as if I were going through all those stitches again. Just follow the thread where it came out right here, and just go back in those stitches underneath. And once you get about, go through about 3 of them, pull it real tight like that. Okay, and close up the holes. So now the holes are all closed up. We're going to go through as many more as you can stand to go through. It gets kind of tight. And this darning needle I'm using is probably really too big for these little stitches. Darning needles come in other sizes. You could use one a little bit smaller probably. And one more. I'm just going to go down a row through a couple of these double crochets down like this, and through the base of a couple double crochets, and trim it off. And just trim it off flush. Okay, turn it back wrong side. There. Now you can see it makes a nice little, our little decorative edge. It's not really a fold up band, but it fits down nice and snugly. There's our little clipped thread. I want to make sure there's no little clipped thread showing. The nurses can clip that off at the NICU unit. But that's how it turns out. And you can see where all of our joins were. It makes almost like a seam, but that doesn't bother me because I'd rather have that than the flimsy little chain 3 as a stitch thing. And it's pretty stretchy. This yarn, this Delight yarn that you buy at Hobby Lobby, comes in all kinds of cute little colors, variegated colors, solid colors. They got a cute rainbow color that comes out really adorable. And that's kind of what they want. They don't want a lot of yellows. or pinks and blues, because they want to be able to use them on all the sexes. Plus, they don't, greens and yellows, if the baby might be jaundice, it might make the baby look green or yellow, and they don't want that when the parents see the babies. They want them to look healthy and happy. So that's our little hats. It all starts with your magic circle with either 10, 11, 12. You could even make a newborn size, which would be about a 14. And you would have to have one more increase row for a true newborn 8-pound baby size, or 7 to 8-pound baby size. You would start off with 12 or 14, and you would increase up to 60 stitches before you started just going around and around. But these are for preemies. That's the pattern is all about the preemie stuff to make for the donations to the hospital. So the instructions are also going to be written in the description. So happy crocheting. I suggest this project be paired with a nice Pinot Grigio. So see you next time.